Hello friends, Del Ballou. I'm back again with another session on the sunrise at Edisto Beach. And today I'm going to be, probably not finishing up, but as you may recall if you watched the other session, I began putting down the base for my water. And this water is a little bit more difficult simply because we have so much reflection from the sunrise. And you might expect that the reflection would be more yellow. However, it is actually more pink and blue, and really a kind of gray blue over toward this side. But there's still some very definite shadows in this photograph that have shapes. And so going with my foreground and up to my horizon line, I'm looking now at the shapes, and there are shapes here in the highlight. Then there's another darker shape and then another highlight that slowly fades out over here into blue. And of course this color is coming from the sky above it, as opposed to this end coming from the yellow and the pink mixture. And I'm trying to decide actually whether I want to keep this jetty, but I certainly need to do more to it to make it look like a jetty and not like some strange creature is creeping into the water. So I'm going to be working on that today, and I am going to speed this up, and I will be back to talk to you later in this video. And so I hope you enjoy and have happy painting day today. In my neighborhood today, it's a good day to be painting because it's cloudy and rainy off and on. So I'm going to be working on this painting, and I hope you will too. Thank you for watching. Okay, I had to take a little bit of a break because my color was just not going light enough in my water area. So I had to let that dry and go back. And these are things that happen when you're painting, and I'm not sure that anyone always gets it right the first time. There are so many situations involved in this process. You know, there's the brush, there's the paint mixture, and there's also the quality of those materials, your paint and your brushes. And that even changes over time with the particular brush. I don't care how much you pay for a brush, if you don't take care of it and clean it out, you are likely to have some issues later on. And the turp, even with the best of care, gets down into this finial, and what happens then, it separates your brush, as you can see this happening. And that's okay for me because I'm actually taking advantage of that in this particular case. But you know, it's a learning experience. And I wanted to diminish this yellow somewhat. And then there are times when you can use that damaged brush, as in the case of this, if you want to have some streaks in your painting. I'm working on this sky a little bit because I want my water to dry so I can go back and work on it some more. When you get to a point of kind of saturation, it's good to let it dry. I'm not one of those painters who uses a lot of thick paint, not in this particular painting anyway. So I'm not apt to just keep slapping more paint on it. But over time, if you haven't developed your style already, you will come to a point where either your ability to make things happen or your taste in making things happen will ultimately work themselves out. I would sometimes like to work with a little thicker paint, and when I decide to do that, that's when I usually turn to my palette knife. Now when you start to blend into another dried color and you don't like the way that's looking, then just quit for the moment, and then you can come back and work into it, which is what I'm going to do. When the paint is already dry, as it is in this case, and you want to change the value or even the tone, you can actually do the glazing technique. And glazing is really just using a thinned out paint. And for glazing, I use the liquid. There are other kinds of mediums that you can work with. You have to be careful with the glazing because with some colors it can leave a kind of ghostly appearance. And I like what's happening here, so I'm going to continue with this brush and do more of a dry brush. And that's another good reason for having a few layers already down on your canvas. And you notice I'm bringing a little bit of that purple over into here. The disadvantage to oils, of course, is that it stays wet. It's not quite as easy to blend sometimes. Well, I'm sorry to say that my battery went dead in the middle of this last portion, so I'm sorry you didn't get to see some of what I was doing. Most of what I was doing was toning down and blending in the sky while I waited on the water to dry, so I could go back and do some details in there. And the only thing that I can say about what I was doing, maybe in your absence, was using a good bit of dry brushing to blend, and that is dry brushing with a soft bristle brush. And I'm fairly well satisfied with the way this is going. I have just a little bit more that I want to accomplish before I call the sky finished. And one of them I notice right here, I don't like the way that is working. And if you could see what I just did, I ended up lifting paint because I didn't have any paint in my brush, only some turpentine. So once I put that on, I still have that sense of a three-prong cloud, which in fact is pretty much what the photograph is all about. But now I've cleaned off my brush, but it still has some paint in it, and certainly there's some paint on the canvas. So let me just work through that. I was ready to call it a day when I realized that my battery was dead. So I'm trying to catch you all up so that when I come back we can start afresh. And this was pretty much what I was doing. You can use all sorts of things to blend and to erase. You can use turpentine on a brush. When your paint's not really thick, which this isn't right now, you can do what I'm doing here with the paper towel. In addition to that, you can also use your finger if you're having trouble getting a certain look. Just take your fingers and blend them around. This water is a strange angle because of the angle from which I took the photograph. So getting the water to be parallel and on a slant just takes some maneuvering. But before I'm finished, I'll have it like I want it. Well, for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to say thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something today. If not, tune in again, and you'll maybe learn something next time. So thanks a lot for joining me. Goodbye for now.